Good afternoon and welcome to this conversation. It is about the evolution of Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, it's a mature technology that has been incredibly successful. And we've had Wi-Fi for a long time, and yet it continues to evolve, to add new functionalities, to improve performance. And today we're going to talk about this process, how Wi-Fi it's getting even better. And to talk about also how does the evolution of Wi-Fi, how does it fit with the rollout of 5G. And today I'm talking to Carlos Cordeiro. He is a senior principal engineer and a senior director for Wi-Fi standards at Intel. Carlos, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here to be talking about this exciting technology.
Yes, it is truly an exciting technology, and especially if you think of how long it has been around and how many things we do with Wi-Fi. So to get started, can you tell us what is that you do at Intel with respect to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So I work at Intel at a group called the Next Generation and Standards. And among other things, we call it NGS for short, it's responsible for all the wireless standardization at Intel. And specifically, my responsibility there is to work with within the Wi-Fi standards, and our team essentially participates in every other organization that has to do with driving the Wi-Fi technology forward. And that includes the IEEE 802.11, where we define the lower layers, the medium access control and physical layers, but also the Wi-Fi Alliance, which is really responsible for bringing those technologies to market in a interoperable fashion, and defining many of the upper layer protocols that we have come to know and love, and that are slowly coming to market, such as Fastpoint, which I'm sure we're going to be talking a little bit later today, and also strong security. And finally, the Wireless Broadband Alliance, which does a lot of the end-to-end trials for carriers, really focused on making sure that Wi-Fi is suited for the managed carrier usage.
Now, let me ask you a question about Intel. Intel has been, working with Wi-Fi since before the Wi-Fi Alliance even existed. So before the term Wi-Fi was introduced. And so you had a major role in promoting the technology. What do you see the role of Intel right now with the latest step in the evolution of Wi-Fi, especially as it relates to 5G?
And this is a great question. Wi-Fi has been around for over 20 years now. I mean, the standard has been around for a long time, and then products started showing up in the market. And I think it's important to realize that in large part, Wi-Fi is what it is today, so popular because of what Intel did as part of the Centrino launch about 15 years ago, where Intel decided at that point to have really a strategic move to put Wi-Fi in every platform that it was shaping in laptops. And that really transformed the use of Wi-Fi and made it so pervasive as it is today. Just to give you an idea, we have about 8 billion Wi-Fi devices in use today around the world. So we have more Wi-Fi devices than we have people. And also, just last year, about 3 billion Wi-Fi chipsets have been sold in the market. Intel is and has been for a long time, since the Centrino days and still today, a very strong proponent, a very strong advocate of Wi-Fi. And we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline around the 11AX, 11AE, 11AY. That's really going to be pushing the boundaries of Wi-Fi going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I remember that when Centrino, the whole announcements were made, everybody was kind of skeptical in terms of, do you really need Wi-Fi, or how it's going to add a huge cost to the cost of a laptop or whatever device you have. And today we have actually the opposite problem, because your laptop will come for sure with Wi-Fi, but you might not have Ethernet. And if you think about it back then, it would have been, heresy to say that you'd have a laptop with no Ethernet. So things would really have evolved. But the other thing is that we often think of Wi-Fi as a sort of cheap technology, sort of like it's inexpensive to have Wi-Fi at home, or we look at it from the user point of view. It's a low cost of adoption, but at the same time, it's really important because it adds value to the economy. And so it's because of the low cost, the easiness with which you can deploy it, and its ubiquitous presence, there is a huge economic benefit to society. What's your view on that?
Right, and I think you are touching on a very important point. Wi-Fi is a technology that for a few dollars you can have a gigabit link in your home. So it is a very low cost technology, which is really what has made it so popular, where we have Wi-Fi today pretty much in every enterprise, in many homes, in coffee shops, airport lounges, you name it. There was a recent study from Wi-Fi Forward, and I have to here, give a shout out to them, that in that study, they have showed that Wi-Fi has generated over $550 billion to the US economy last year. That's an unprecedented number. If you look at it globally, that number will easily exceed $2 trillion. So the value of Wi-Fi, it's not only that we have come to know and love it, but also there's a huge value generated to the economy, which makes this technology so much more important.
Absolutely. So let's look at the evolution of what's next in terms of Wi-Fi. What do you see to be the main? You mentioned some of them, but what do you see the major steps moving forward?
We are working on many different aspects of Wi-Fi, from the lower layers, trying to increase the data rates and provide a rich user experience, to the very high layers where it's more about manageability, touching the, addressing use cases, new markets. So just to give you some ideas, the major new thing that is coming to the market soon is around the next evolution of Wi-Fi around 11ax. So I think we all know 11n, 11ac technologies that you can get them today if you go to a Best Buy, if you go to any retail shop. Now we are working on 11ax, which is the next evolution of Wi-Fi. That's going to provide a much higher data rates compared to 11ac, the previous generation. It's going to include new technologies that are going to make it Wi-Fi even more useful for dense environments where you have a number of devices in the home today, for example. You not only have your cell phones, your laptops, but now you also have IoT devices. You have your cameras, you have your thermostats. And that density of devices requires the technology to evolve. And that's what really the value proposition for 11ax, provided that additional capacity, that additional density, that is something that is a major differentiator compared to the previous technology. Not only that, 11ax is going to also be providing better power efficiency, so that allows you to have those IoT devices that are very low power to be able to sleep for long periods of time and save power. And this is all being done on top of the existing generation of 11ac. So that's really going to be a major revolution in the Wi-Fi market, the major new step in the evolution of Wi-Fi. At the same time, we have the higher frequency bands. We have other technologies like 11ay, which is really driving the speeds in the 6 GHz frequency bands to address use cases for AR, VR, which is really something very exciting that is happening today, but also provide many other usages around wireless docking, high-speed network. So these are just some of the usages. And with always improved security, where we have now the new version of security coming from Wi-Fi Alliance around WPA3 that offers new and unprecedented security for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so a lot of the things you said, is something that you could basically say about 5G as well. So it seems like Wi-Fi is, and clearly, as Wi-Fi evolves, it tries to meet the requirements, and 5G is doing the same. So it's not surprising that you're moving in the same direction, because what they're trying to do is to meet the same demand out there for pervasive connectivity that we are seeing, in the market everywhere in the world. How do you think that Wi-Fi, the new Wi-Fi, the evolution of Wi-Fi compares to the evolution of cellular, so with 5G?
It's a great question. And, just talking to many people over the years and be at many events, there's always this discussion around how Wi-Fi fits 5G, the role of Wi-Fi in 5G. The way we see it at Intel is that Wi-Fi is critical in meeting many of the 5G needs and use cases. We actually see these two technologies as complementary. Wi-Fi has really a huge penetration indoors, as we mentioned before, enterprises, homes, coffee shops, and airport lounges, for example. And cellular, of course, is prevalent outdoors, and of course, you can also get coverage indoors. But we also see that in many cases where the quality of the cellular link falls short indoors, that's really why Wi-Fi picks up the tab. And can really supplement the use case for cellular in offering, as we talked about before, 4K video streams, or if it's AR or VR, or Wi-Fi offloading through the use of technologies like Passpoint. And just to give you an idea, Passpoint is a technology that has been around for a few years, and it's increasingly being deployed by carriers. At MWC this year, Passpoint was broadly deployed at the MWC side, and Wi-Fi transferred over 2.3 terabytes of data during MWC. There was a huge number of Wi-Fi devices at MWC, and that's really what Wi-Fi can do for cellular. Even if you have that cellular connectivity, the high capacity of Wi-Fi allows you to complement cellular and then deliver to the user a much better user experience, which we only see growing 5G. Actually, we see that 5G actually is going to open up even more opportunities for Wi-Fi, because of those requirements in terms of capacity, low latency, that really suits the Wi-Fi technology that is being developed today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's in line, because with 5G, the whole idea behind it is to have different access technologies being integrated together. And so Wi-Fi is going to get even closer to cellular, because there's going to be more of an opportunity for integration, right?
Absolutely. In the past, in 4G, there was a lot of technology being developed to look at the integration of Wi-Fi and cellular. Around the shorthand is LWA, which is LTE Wi-Fi aggregation. There was LWIP. There was a lot of work done in the industry to look at integration. In recent years, we see even more work around integration and the broad topic of convergence between Wi-Fi and cellular. We believe that 5G offers new opportunities for that integration to happen. There are certain things that the 5G experts, and we have many of those at Intel, that we work really close together that they're looking at, such as the separation between control units and distributed units. That really opens up a new level of opportunities for integration of Wi-Fi into the 5G core. This is something that at Intel we are quite interested in pursuing. We are doing some work in that space, and we believe that 5G is going to offer that additional level of integration compared to 4G. And this is something that the industry is working hard, and I think users are going to be able to take advantage of that in coming years.
Now, okay, so integration, sounds like a good thing, but in practice, what does it mean for the user? Because right now we still have, Wi-Fi and cellular on our phones, and we can still use both of them. We already use both of them. What is going to be different when you have a deeper integration from a user point of view, or use cases that you can support?
Right, and the integration comes in different flavors. We can talk about integration at the component level that will simply offer lower cost devices. So you can imagine that some components of Wi-Fi and cellular, they can be reused. You can reuse antennas, you can reuse FFTs and encoders or decoders. But you can also think of higher layer type of experience that it can be offered when you have Wi-Fi and cellular in the same device. And one very simple example which really resonates with people is the mobile worker. When you are going from an outdoor environment to an indoor, or for a place where you have a great coverage from cellular, and then you are walking into an airport where the coverage is not so good, and you really need, and you're taking up that call, you're making a presentation, you really need that connection to be seamless. And with tighter integration, you can actually drive those connection times, those latencies very down, so that there will be a seamless roaming between Wi-Fi and cellular, so that the user won't really notice. And today, some of it is realized through Passpoint, but we still have a ways to go. And that's really where I think that 5G and Wi-Fi can really work together to make sure that, in a ways, a Wi-Fi could actually be treated as a 5G red, if you think about it, in the level of integration. And that will offer really new opportunities for much richer user experiences, not only when you're talking, but you may be watching a movie, watching a video, going between Wi-Fi and cellular. That should be completely seamless for the user.
And there's also an advantage there for the operator, for the enterprise, because they can manage their networks in a different way. In this respect, what is it different with 5G with respect to 4G? Because we've been trying to get a closer integration with Wi-Fi, and a lot of progress has been made with Passpoint, as you mentioned, but we're still not there yet. So what is the additional ingredient that 5G will bring into that?
Right. So 5G brings this component of edge compute, which is something that it's one of the technologies. There are others, such as the slicing and so on. We can touch on those. That really basically brings the network closer to the enterprise. That will essentially allow a much finer control of the enterprises. Right? Enterprises are very sensitive in being able to have very predictable service and being able to manage their own devices. With 5G, 5G basically allows that. It basically brings the network closer to the enterprise, allows enterprises to be able to have dedicated quality in their networks. And by using the Wi-Fi that is within the enterprise network and these edge services provided by the operators or deployed by the enterprises themselves, it really allows this integration between the Wi-Fi air interface and the 5G core. This is something that today we don't have available, but that we really see that 5G is making this possible, where you can, in a way, mix and match. You can allow operators or enterprises to use elements of that 5G core if they want to, so that they can manage their devices in the enterprise, or even when you have a mobile worker that is outside the enterprise. But at the same time, leverage the huge installed base of Wi-Fi. And that installed base of Wi-Fi is going to remain, is been there for a long time, and it's going to remain to the future. And being able to marry the elements of the 5G core with the existing installed base and the future installed base of Wi-Fi, it's something that 5G really offers as a differentiator, which was something that was not really possible until now.
Now, you mentioned the enterprise, and clearly Wi-Fi is heavily used in the enterprise. And when you think about edge computing, Wi-Fi has been doing edge computing since day one. So it's nothing new to Wi-Fi. It's basically native. You cannot do otherwise. So that's quite exciting. And so how do you see the evolution of Wi-Fi to meet the requirements of the enterprise, not just in terms of the sort of basic connectivity, but also for IoT applications?
This is a great question. Enterprises are evolving. I mean, sometimes we think of enterprises as, gorillas, but they have thriving new requirements and new needs that keep evolving over time. Some of the things that we see in the enterprise is the sheer number of Wi-Fi devices now, that before it used to be only your laptops. Today are your laptops, your phones, they are the projectors, and many other devices to control AVCs and temperatures, all sort of devices that are showing up now in the enterprise. That essentially brings this, introduce this requirement that you really need to be able to support high density, a huge number of devices in the enterprise. And some of them with very different key quality of service requirements, some that need high speed, some of them that need low latency, and some of them that really, they don't transmit much data at all, but they want to make sure that whenever the device wakes up to transmit data, like a sensor, it can access the channel and transmit data. This just different set of requirements, that's really what we are trying to address with 11ax. And with 11ay, where 11ax can really address the high density scheduled type of service. And it's really going to be a major evolution for enterprises. And also going to be dealing with IoT, because one of the great things of 11ax is that it uses one technology called OFDMA, which allows you to allocate resources to different devices that are fine granular and therefore very conducive to low power consumption. So it really addresses the high end as well as the low end devices.
Yeah, and I guess it allows you to manage traffic in a more granular way, so that you can address the needs, as I said, the more diverse needs of the enterprise. And now let's go back to another topic that you raised, which is security, which is also it's absolutely crucial for the enterprise. We all need a secure connection, of course, but in an enterprise environment, it's even more important. Can you talk a little bit more about the new initiative, the new program, the WPA3 for Wi-Fi? Why do we need more security, or what is new there?
Security is never enough. And Wi-Fi has had a very successful track record with security over the years with WPA2. That's the current generation of security. And just recently, we have announced in the Wi-Fi Alliance that we're going to be launching WPA3, which is the new generation of security. And WPA3 really brings a new security mechanism that are going to make Wi-Fi even safer and even more secure to users. And some of the things that we are doing there, we are introducing one new technology called SAE. It stands for simultaneous authentication of equals. And basically what this SAE technology does is that it makes much harder for what we call dictionary attacks, which are attacks when an attacker attempts to guess or make several attempts to identify a password of users. So SAE is going to make that type of attack almost negligible. And then the other thing that we are doing with WPA3 is introducing a stronger form of encryption, which we say that's 192 bits encryption, which is a government-grade type of encryption, something that can be used even by government agencies. And together, this stronger encryption with this new technique called the SAE, this new technology that would allow dictionary attacks essentially to be not possible anymore, is going to make WPA3 a key technology. As Intel, as in the industry, this is something that we believe that WPA3 will be there together with 11ax. So that when you get the newest technology for 11ax, you're also going to have the strongest security.
Yeah, that's I think it's very important to make sure that you provide the security that we need. Now, this has been a great conversation. We covered a lot of topics. So let's try to sort of put it all together. And when we look at sort of the evolution of Wi-Fi, 5G, what do you see moving forward? I mean, as I say, Wi-Fi is going to stay there. How is the mutual relationship, the relationship between the two going to evolve?
One of the benefits and one of the key things that I think it's great to work at Intel is that they also work side by side with our 3GPP team. And I put my Wi-Fi hat, and when I talk to them, we actually have a number of projects where we are trying to bring elements of 5G and cellular more broadly and Wi-Fi together. I think that these two technologies, they're essentially going to go hand in hand into the future. They're going to be tailored to different usages, to different requirements. And whenever the industry needs to bring those tools together to the benefit of the user, that's something we will do. I see a great future for Wi-Fi in the 5G world. And I'm sure that whenever cellular is going to move on beyond 5G, we're going to be there, head to head, trying to offer compelling new use cases, compelling new experiences, and making sure that the industry is always moving forward. And so all I can say here at the end is long live Wi-Fi, long live cellular, because these technologies are here to stay.
Absolutely. And yeah, without each other, they would not go very far. So we need both for different use cases. Well, Carlos, so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It was great talking to you.
Monica, thank you very much. And, it has been a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for listening in.